Good morning, YouTube. It's your boy Atticus. What's good? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's well. Back with you with a Wood Elf versus High Elf matchup, and this is with a good guy called Julius Ceaser. Yeah, he's a really skilled opponent. Me and him have played a lot of games, and we did some 2v2s and stuff, and yeah, this was one of our games here, guys. And this right here is a matchup that if anybody who plays this game for any amount of time will tell you is one of the hardest matchups in the game. It's very uneven. I would consider it one of the straight up just hardest matchups for any race to beat, and that would be the Wood Elves versus the High Elves. So yeah, I mean, going into it, guys, I mean, you're always going to be at a disadvantage if your opponent knows what he's doing. Now, there is a few ways to get, to counter some of the builds at which the High Elves will go, but generally, guys, I'd say it's probably stacked against you anywhere from like 70-30, maybe even 60-40 in the hands of a skilled opponent. So my point being is you have to really be creative with trying to beat them. You can't use your normal approaches of how you would normally play Wood Elves. You kind of have to, be a little bit sneaky. So let's go ahead and just jump into the builds, and I'll show you guys what I'm bringing to the battle here. So, yeah, we're going with the Glady, and yeah, I mean, this obviously, guys, is the reason you want this is because you want the net ability. As the Wood Elves, you're gonna have the inferior cav. You're not going to be able to win any cav engagements. Wild Riders versus Dragon Princes, you're just going to lose, especially if it's the Fireborn. So being able to keep them in place, being able to lock a unit down is really invaluable. We also brought a Spellsinger of Shadows, so I'm wanting to go DPS heavy, guys, and you can see the spells I brought are Pit of Shades and Miasma. So yeah, the Pit of Shades is just going to be able to, trying to deal with the archers, because that is one of the way the High Elves deal with Wood Elves, is they bring a lot of low-tier, cheap archers that will screen out and kill your Way Watchers, your 1,200, 1,000, point archer units. So that's my my lords. For my army, guys, you can see it right here. All I'm bringing is just Eternal Guards with spears. And I think this is the only way you could really go about it, guys. If you want semi of a reliable build. And the reason for that is, like I said, you're going to have no reliable cav option just because your Wild Riders can't stand up to the superior High Elf Cavalry. So having a unit that can protect itself is invaluable. It allows you to focus in on the archer play, your lord play, your casting, allows your micro to go elsewhere. So yeah, I just took Eternal Guards. We also have the Winterheart Guard in the middle, the Unbreakable unit, so this could be a really strong front line. And yes, guys, one of the unique things about these spear units that the other spear units don't, and just keep this in mind, Dark Elf spears don't have this, High Elf spears don't have that, but yeah, the Wood Elf ones do. They have armor piercing. So, yeah, they can actually trade against things like White Lions and things like that. They'll actually do a little bit of damage. And I actually looked it up because I was curious how much armor piercing, they actually do. And it's really high. It's almost the same as a White Lion. So, just a little bit short. For my secondary force here, guys, and this is another thing I wanted to explain to you guys, you can see that I have the Wardens of Cithariel, and I also have the Hawkeyes of Drakira. And what I'm doing, guys, is I'm using the Wardens of Cithariel to screen for my archers. So yeah, these guys are just going to move in unison with them, and they'll be able to protect them because these guys have armor sundering, armor piercing, anti-large, and they're just a really good defensive unit. Any cav force that tries to get in is going to get totally shut down by these guys, and they have shields. And also, we have Loix Tricksters, guys, so I'm investing a lot of points into protecting these rangers. And I also have a Waystalker, and the reason you do that is for its it has a magic missile spell, so it can allow you to, put a lot of extra damage onto an enemy lord. So I also have a unit of the Thorn. These guys do poison, and they're a skirmish cav, so they'll be able to just, distract some of my enemy's cavalry and allow me, my Way Watchers, to shoot them down. So, generally people will set up their units behind the army, but you're just going to get shot by the archers. So by having them here on the side to deal with the cav, if they were alone, they'd just get ran down. But putting some anti-large options that are going to escort them allows me to have this mobile, artillery priest pretty much. Anything that comes in the range of these Hawkeyes it's going to be able to melt them. And if he tries to charge in, they're going to die. So yeah, that's the army. We have the main force right here that's going to try to hold up all these guys, try to win the fight. And then we have, my mobile force right here that's going to be dealing with the cav, the lord, and things like that, all while trying to get some Pit of Shades in with my Spellsinger. So as for Julius Ceaser here, let's look at his build. This is a pretty standard, when I mean standard, it means it's a pretty competitive high elf build that you would use against wood elves, because it, covers all your bases. Sometimes people will even go more archers. I've seen people take up to like 6, of the light archers, which would work good if I was going a lot of Way Watchers, but since I didn't, yeah, I mean, I'm taking a lot of Eternal Guard. This is a little bit more, competitive. So he has the 3 units of archers. He has a secondary line of spearmen. Looks like he has 4 of those in total. And then he has 3 white lions. So really powerful infantry, guys. He's going to be able to really have an advantage in that fight, especially with the support of the Frostheart Phoenix. And just so you guys know, the Frostheart Phoenix actually lowers the melee attack and the armor piercing of units that it surrounds. So it won't let me click on it. I don't know why it does that, but yeah. So if you land him in a glob, it's just going to cut the combat potential of my infantry units. For his lord, guys, he actually brought a prince, and I thought this was a pretty cool choice. You don't see the prince a lot, but yeah, the prince has a lot of cool abilities. See if he'll let me click on it. Nope, he didn't, but yeah, you can see right here he has Deadly Onslaught. He has the one that lets you move faster, and then the prince also has a few damage buffing spells himself, some of his bound abilities. My opponent also brought a Mage of Life, spells being Earthblood, and the tree, the one that blows up and slows things down. So that's a really that's interesting. I think he's going to do that so he can maybe bust it on like Wild Riders to slow them down. Do it on archer units to keep them from like skirmishing. So yeah, you don't really see that spell a lot. So kudos to my opponent for bringing that. And this is the scary part, guys. This is usually the bane of the Wood Elves. 2 Silver Helms. Now, interesting enough, guys, he did not take the shielded units, and that I don't really agree with. Maybe he was short on money, but yeah, you definitely want the shields on these guys, especially versus the Wood Elves. Now, he might have been taking a gamble, though. He might have, just see my bluff, but generally, it's always better just to pay the extra 100 to get the shields, because not only are they going to have the bronze shield, they're going to have a better melee defense, and against, Wild Riders, if they were to get into an engagement, that could come in handy. And he has a unit of Illyrian Reavers, and these are just, their sole purpose in life is just to chase down archers. Very overlooked unit, but very powerful. So let's go ahead, I've blabbed long enough, guys, let's go ahead and start the match here. So right off the bat, as I like to say, you can see that my opponent did have these vanguarded, but look how quick the Way Watchers and the Way Stalker are just melting these guys, getting some really good volleys. And yeah, it kind of sucks to use some of that precious ammunition on those guys, but they're so mobile, and they're such a threat, it's better off just to deal from now since they're in range, so I don't have to worry about them later. You can see right here, guys, I have my tricksters moving up here. I got the Sisters of the Thorn also going to be able to screen those guys out. Meanwhile, you can see my infantry line is being a little bit patient. There's no sense rushing them in yet till I have my units in place. And I am going to use the Curse of Annie here on these guys. I was just trying to slow them down, and that is the bound spell by the Sisters of the Thorn. So yeah, slowing them down. We're doing a little bit of poison into them. These guys are hitting them in the back, and we're just screening them out, guys. You can see, this is what I was talking about. Use your Wardens of Cythriel in unison with your Hawkeyes. These guys are just the bodyguards. They're just a brick wall that'll keep anything from diving in on these guys. That Phoenix, that Prince, any of those guys charge in, they're going to die. Over here, you can see I was just trying to reposition my men. My opponent was moving up. I figured I'd get a little bit here to the right so I couldn't be charged. But yeah, he is going to get me kind of exposed here where I won't have a missile defense chance. Over here, you can see I am going to start shooting at the Phoenix, guys. It's a really big threat, so I was trying to get a few shots off with him. But my opponent's doing really good at dodging them. You can see over here, this is a Thorn are just getting in position, and I'm just trying to make sure that I have a angle for each one of these Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers. You can see right here, my opponent does see a hole in my defense, and he's going to start charging in, but the Way Watchers are just going to start shooting him point blank in the face, and the Lower-X Tricksters are going to come in to, screen those guys away. Over here, you can see that we got the 2 Silver Helms coming in for a charge, but yeah, this was a little bit of a mistake, guys. You can see I'm taking a little bit of damage from these archers. Luckily, there's this hill that will kind of, take out our block line of sight. But yeah, now the Phoenix doesn't start getting shot again, guys. And I am going to cast the net from the Glady right in on him, and that also makes you take more missile damage, guys. So yeah, that's really good for me. It's going to allow me to get some really good damage onto that Phoenix. Over here, you can see that my Lower-X Tricksters were able to get into these Silver Helms, and we caught them over the hill, and it's doing a lot of damage to them, guys. Look at that. Just one little volley, we were able to take them down almost quarter of their health. Over here, guys, the Glady and the Prince are having a battle, and you can see my opponent is going to cast... let me pause it right here, slow it down. You can see he is going to cast Deadly Onslaught. So yeah, the Prince is the melee-focused Lord, and a one-on-one with the Glady, he would win. But look what's underneath him, guys. We got the most deadly range unit in the game, and we have the Way Stalker all shooting him right point blank into the back. And look how quick we're melting him. So yeah, that's a really good pick for me. You can see over here, guys, I'm going to get a Pit of Shades off. I kind of did a little bit of damage, but these guys were running, so my opponent did kind of dodge on that. Let me just slow it down a little bit more so I don't miss anything. What's going on? Over here, you can see that I saw that he had his Mage of Life sitting right here. So I figured, let me see if he's paying attention. I am going to send my my Tricksters in to try to catch her. All around here, guys, you can see the front lines have collided. We have the Eternal Guard fighting Spearmen and White Lions, but, the good thing for me, guys, is his units are bunched up. So we have one unit holding up all these different units. And, yeah, I will lose eventually, but it's keeping those units, from not, doing any damage that's really meaningful at the time. And you can see, guys, my units are more powerful, so they are going to be able to win at least the initial fight. Here in the back, though, the archers are doing a little bit of damage. You can see that my Tricksters are getting shot by these archers, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, we've got his Lord. You can see that my Waystalker and the Waywatchers now are starting to open up on the Phoenix. And this is another really good fight, guys. You can see that the Glady is fighting the Frostbite Phoenix. And yeah, we're just doing really good since we have the support of, my range units. Over here, you can see that my opponent got a charge in with his Silver Helms. But yeah, he's getting poisoned. It's slowing him down. So yeah, you can see that my Wardens of Sithriel are just being such a nuisance for my opponent. Oops. Kind of got kicked out of there for a second. Balance of power is really strongly in my favor, guys. Especially with the Phoenix being able to hit. But yeah, it looks like my opponent's going to try to get it around here. He's trying to find an opening with his Silver Helms. But yeah, you can see he's finally going to get one. He's going to get a nice, juicy charge into my Hawkeyes, which is really unfortunate. I am going to land my Glady in there. I'm just trying to muck those guys up. And you can see that my opponent is going to send his Phoenix into dealing with the Waystalker. But, he's a small target. He's not going to take that much damage. So it's okay for now. You can see over here, it's going to slow it down again since there's a lot of things going on. I was able to catch his Prince out of position. Well, I didn't catch him out of position, but he did land him down. But he didn't see, or he wasn't paying attention, that the Tricksters are right on his tail. So, let's go and just speed it up here so I can see what's going on. You can see that I am landing all my units onto these Silver Helms. We're just trying to shut them down. We're trying to catch them up. I have the Eternal Guard right here. This is an extra unit of Eternal Guards that are going to come in, and they're going to start, dealing with the Phoenix, and we are chasing away these Silver Helms, even though my opponent does have these White Lions coming to reinforce. But yeah, this was a really good pick for me. That Prince really got into a really bad engagement. You can see he's surrounded by Sisters of Thorn and the Tricksters. I'm going to get another really juicy Pit of Shades right into the back of these Spearmen and White Lions. And that's kind of, that's the perk of taking a DPS shadow build, guys. You just wait till your opponent bunches up, and you just, destroy him with that kind of, magic. Over here, you can see that the Spellsinger is fighting these Silver Helms. And yeah, guys, the Eagle has a pretty, good amount of armor piercing. So, it is doable. You can see that my Archers, my Waywatchers are almost out of ammunition, but we should be enough to, make sure that Phoenix doesn't come back. One more volley should be enough to kill him. Over here, you can see that we are going to get a net, and we're going to catch his Mage of Life, guys. And this was the last, the nail in the coffin. Killing her is going to just destroy his leadership. And you can see I got the War Dancers. I got the Scissors of Thorn. Even though my opponent is going to send the Silver Helms in to try to, save his Spellsinger, or excuse me, his Mage, it's going to be a little bit too late. If we slow it down and let's look at the infantry fight, guys. Over on this side, my opponent had one, as we did say that he did have the stronger infantry. So yeah, he was able to clear it up, and he has a pretty, sizable force right here. Something that is going to be scary since I don't have the Waywatchers, but he doesn't have any leadership, guys. And I have 2 Eagles that cause fear. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Balance of power is really strong in my favor, though. Even though he has, these full units of, White Lions and stuff, guys. Not having leadership is a really big disadvantage. You can see right now the Silver Helms are in combat with the Tricksters and the Sisters of Thorn. And yeah, we're winning, especially with some Wardens of Sithriel coming up to create a pincher movement on these guys, and once we get them off the map, it's going to be a really big, it should be GG. You can see over here that I've used all the ammunitions in my Hawkeye, so I'm going to start just running these guys into melee, and their stats aren't too bad, guys, 44 melee defense, 34, they'll be able to easily shred through archers and things like that, and he still has a healthy dose of ammunition. If he's able to get some really good shots with those archers, maybe he could turn the game around. But yeah, you can see the Eternal Guards, guys, have just been true MVPs. These guys are such a good unit. It's the only really good unit the Wood Elves have, infantry, that's really reliable and something you could, really count on. And you can see that, guys. They're even holding these White Lions in place. So yeah, we've pretty much dealt with all the cavalry right now. I'm going to get a cycle charge. I'm going to do my first charge into the Sisters of Thorn right now. I'm just trying to shut down the archers because we are taking a lot of damage to them, especially with my, what's the word I'm looking for? my trickster units. We're going to see we're going to get a nice juicy charge, shutting those guys down, and I still have 2 eagles, so I just need to be really smart about where I land those guys. He has these 2 units providing overwatch, so I don't want to charge him into here, guys, because, I'll just get focus fire down. You can see that the way Stalker is out of ammunition, so I'm going to send him into melee. And yeah, he's not a bad combatant himself. He'll be able to do a little bit of damage. But yeah, you can see we're just totally shutting down his archery units. He doesn't have any cav units that can, create some interference for us. And this is what the Wood Elves excel at. Hitting your back line. You can see I'm going to get another Pit of Shades off here. We're going to get a lot of these high elf archers. And I'm telling you guys, bringing Pit of Shades and just that spell is a lot of fun. It doesn't waste any winds of magic. It allows you just to use it like 4 or 5 times through the course of a game. And you can see that my Spell Singer is going to land into these archers right here, guys. And yeah, at this point, my opponent, he's just getting picked apart from all the different sides. He does have this last little glob of, spearmen, silver helms, and white lions, but he's getting attacked from all the different angles, and his anti-large tools are really starting to get limited. Over here, you can see that my Glade Lord is using her bow, just shooting into these guys, and I'm going to get a net. It's going to keep these guys from getting their charge off. It's going to allow my Sisters of the Thorn to get a nice juicy charge into these guys. And yeah, Balance of Power right now is getting ready to have army losses for my opponent. You can see the Wardens of Cythriel are fighting against the White Lions. The Wardens do have armor piercing. And the Glady is going to charge in with her Eagle. And yeah, this is going to cause fear on these guys. So yeah, with the Eagles in here, the leadership will break. And that's going to be army losses for my opponent, Julius Ceaser. So, good game to Julius. That was a really fun game. We had a lot of really cool games. I'll probably feature another one of his on the channel. But let's go ahead and look at the in-screen breakdown to talk about some of the keys for my success. And, the biggest thing I want you guys to take from this game would be how I used the Way Watchers. Using the Wardens and the Tricksters to screen with them. It was like a mobile, defensive force. Like whenever the archers, my Way Watchers would move up, so would the Wardens. And you saw that like, my opponent didn't have any answer for that because they have shields. He couldn't cycle charge, especially with the net. If he goes into charge, I could just net him, and I have 2 anti-large units that could come in and just destroy him. So yeah, that's a really powerful way of using your Way Watchers, guys. And in my opinion, that's the only way you could do it. And against in the high elf matchup, another key for success, guys, was the Eternal Guard. They're just a really good, sturdy unit, good, reliable, cheap unit that will actually do a little bit of damage to your opponent. And then, the Pit of Shades, guys, not being really greedy with my spell usage, I just took Pit of Shades and Miasma, and that allows me to get several different castings of it. And, you think about it, when you're fighting high elves, you're going to have a lot of archers. Pit of Shades will just wreck them. And you also be patient towards the end game when he globs up, your opponent globs up. You saw the damage it did. And then, guys, of course, the Hawkeyes are, they always pay for themselves. We were able to melt that Lord once he got in one-on-one combat with the Glady, especially with the support of the Waystalker, who also gives a plus 10 to missile damage, 10% missile damage to any surrounding archers. So, all right, guys, and as for Julius Caesar, this was a really powerful build. I do disagree with not bringing shields on your Silver Helms, and I would probably cut maybe one unit of White Lions and took maybe like 2 more archers. Maybe even a Dragon Prince. But, this was a sound army, though. Don't get me wrong. This would beat a majority of Wood Elves. It's just, I think the way I played my archers, having that, anti-large defensive firing, section on the right side just really helped and gave me a strong position for my victory. So, all right, guys, it's Atticus. Good game to Julius Caesar, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.